So good morning, everybody, on this Wednesday. I hope you're all well. And we're going to work today on a breath that has various different uses. One of those uses is elongating the exhalation, and I often talk of the value of that. The other is that because it's 3 sips, and we've done this together, but for different reasons, and it brings more air into the lungs, or we say in respiratory physiology, it increases the tidal volume. It's almost like you can feel your lungs more clearly. And given the current events happening around the world, I feel that that is very important, that we can kind of feel ourselves more clearly, especially within breath. This breath is also used in grief in order to really feel what we are experiencing, because that is part of healing the grieving process, and then exhaling long. And between COVID and the things that have been going on and the acknowledgement of systemic racism really at its peak right now, and just so much pain in society, I think we need to honor the fact that there is a lot of grief, and to work on the process of being with and then transforming that grief. So that's what we're going to start with today. That's a long process, so I wouldn't claim to finish it, but we're just going to start it. And if those two particular things are not touching into a feeling of grief or sadness for you uniquely right now, we all have things in our lives that we have had to let go of, or that have brought up pain or unpleasantness. And it's important to have a strategy to understand how to work with that. And there are many, right? This is just one through breathing. So let's just take a moment before we begin to have our eyes downcast or closed, to feel ourselves sitting. To notice the breath. And we're going to invite in energy, or breath, or feeling, before we start controlling the breath through pranayama. So what we're going to do is place the hands on the shoulders, and we're going to inhale, open ourselves up. So it's kind of like a metaphor. And as we exhale, we're going to bring in the energy around us into our heart. You can have elongated exhale if you want. Inhale, open. Exhale, bring it in to your heart. Again, inhale, open, open wide, open, open, open. And exhale, bring it into your heart. Good. And now release down. And for those of you familiar with Ujjayi breathing, I'm going to ask you to begin that while I teach those individuals that would be new to Ujjayi breathing, because I heard we had some newbies today, how to practice, right? So this will just be for about a minute or two. So if you're new to Ujjayi breathing, you can do it today just on the exhale. For those of you familiar with it, please do it on the inhale and the exhale. And Ujjayi breathing sounds like this. Okay, so I'm going to get a little closer. It's now that might sound like a strange noise, but if we do it through our mouth, which is something common when we file Gopamira, there's probably a familiarity with it. So lift up your hand, inhale naturally, and exhale. Nice and long and smooth, not forced out, not quick. Let's do that again. Last time if you're new to it. Good. And now we're going to do it through the nose because it's not traditionally practiced through the mouth, but it can be difficult to figure out how to do that. So I want you to imagine that the nose is at the throat center and you can place your index and middle finger there. You're going to inhale naturally and you're going to imagine exhaling out of the throat. Don't make the noise too harsh or forceful. It should be light and easy and silky. So please practice this way, newbies, for the next minute. And for those of you familiar, you're still practicing your Ujjayi breath. And I'm going to just talk a little bit. So leading up to dirga, we're going to do a traditional thing where you place the hands and keep practicing breathing on different parts of the body that allow the breath to move more into the lower, the middle, and then the upper lungs. Because by the time we get to dirga or to three-part breathing, I want all of us to be able to more clearly bring a good amount of air into the lungs so that we can really feel the edges of it. And then when we exhale, there's really so much air to let out, which is not just about a letting go, but actually about the regulation aspect of elongated exhalation that we often talk about, right? Because if we are feeling into things that are uncomfortable with inside ourselves, we need to have a process, not of getting rid of them. I'm not part of that catharsis mentality, but rather of having something that allows us to feel calm and safe at the end of that. And the elongation of the exhalation, because it does slow down the heart rate, has that property, that ability. And now I want all of us to place our hands at the waist with the thumbs behind the waist and the forefingers forward. And we're not pressing in or holding tight. And we're just going to continue our Ujjayi breath. For newbies, just on the exhale. For those of you who are familiar, inhaling and exhaling. And all of us are going to try to have the exhale nice and long without making it forceful and uncomfortable. We're just going to do a few breaths here. Focus bringing the air into the lower lungs. And then bring the thumbs into the armpits. And rather than letting the shoulders, the elbows hang rather, have them in a line with the shoulders without lifting the shoulders up. This is going to bring the breath into the chest part of the lung, not quite the apex, but higher up. Inhaling here. And then finally, we place the hands on the shoulder blades with the elbows up into the air, right? Not away like that, but sort of towards each other without it feeling too forced. And then this is the apex, the heart, the highest part of the lungs that can be oxygenated become oxygenated this way. So go ahead and breathe. Use your Ujjayi. and release. Okay. So what we're going to do now is the dirga breath. And dirga, if you're new to it, you take in a little air, you take in a little more, you take in a third zip, and then through the nose you exhale real long. Not a forceful long, but because you have taken in more air, you have more volume that you can expel. And there is a control element associated with this, but you're not pushing so that it's uncomfortable to make it that long. So it's inhale a little more, inhale a little more. For those of us newer to this exercise, or maybe with tight shoulders today, the third inhale might feel uncomfortable. If that's the case for you, stop on the second one. And for those of you that are yoga teachers that like to focus on lower, middle, upper, that's not really how breath works. It doesn't expand as though it's just like a little section and then a little bit more. So let that go and just imagine pouring air into the lungs, okay, or sipping it in. So having your eyes downcast or closed, I'm going to talk you through 5 of these breaths, and then you're going to continue on your own. And for those of you, again, familiar with Ujjayi, sip in with Ujjayi and exhale with Ujjayi. And for those of you not familiar with it until just now, just sip in naturally and exhale Ujjayi. So beginning now, sip, 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 exhale long. 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 And continue like this. We're going to practice for about 8 minutes this dirga breath. And if at any time, even though we generally exhale through the nose, you feel that you just need to let go of the air through the mouth, for whatever reason, you don't have to have it in a cognitive place. That's fine if occasionally you just go. But make this more than an exercise in breathing. As you sip in the air, as you fill the lungs, you feel the edges of the lungs. Be conscious with what is present for you. And then as you exhale long, it is not about getting rid of that, but understanding that if there is any challenge for you this morning, whether it's because of the things I said or things that are unique to you, you are exhaling long, slowing down your heartbeat, and providing the ground for calmness, for regulation, for the ability to manage that next breath with fullness. And do not try, even though I am asking you to fill the air in the lungs more, to overfill them, to really get them so expanded. We don't want that. That's uncomfortable. As long as you do this practice with the 3 sips, that's more than enough. Please keep your volume off. And if the mind goes away, just bring it back. If you're getting lost in thoughts, notice and bring it back to the 3 sips on the inhale and the elongated exhale. Just this. Please do 3 more breaths like this and then return to natural breathing. I'm going to give you some time and don't have the expectation as to when exactly you're going to finish. So I give you a little time to do 3 more of these breaths. Okay. You do not need to open your eyes. Just listen to my directions. So when we work with this kind of stuff, powerful emotions might still be present in you. And it's a great time to do mindfulness meditation and to watch, or even loving kindness meditation. But there's another very interesting thing you can do if you practice it. And many of us will not, but I just want to invite those people that already do. If you do yin yoga, right, where you take a position and you hold it for a while and you feel the mounting sensations, I invite you to do that now if you'd like, just one pose. Because as you are with that experience with mindfulness, your brain generally transforms it. It's not about a release. It's about transforming the nature of being with discomfort. So you can take a yin pose if you practice yin. For the rest of us, we are going to practice mindfulness meditation without yin. If you're in yin, you're still going to be doing the meditation piece. You're just doing it in a different position. The rest of us are probably sitting. So with your eyes still downcast or closed, notice your breath. You've been controlling it for nearly a half an hour. But now you just notice. You notice the inhale coming in and moving out. Maybe you can feel the expanding and descending of the abdomen. And as you inhale, say to yourself, inhaling to direct the mind. And as you exhale, saying to yourself, exhaling. Just this. And when the mind goes out into thoughts, as inevitably it will, you mentally label, thinking, and allow the mind again to rest on the breath, mentally reciting, inhaling as you inhale, and exhaling as you exhale. Now, that's the basic instruction. And especially if you are new today and new to this practice, that's more than enough. But if you've been doing this with me for a while, and you do have strong emotions still present in your being, or strong physical sensations, which co-arise, by the way, with physical sensations, and you feel your mind drawn to a part of your body where things might not feel so incredibly pleasant, whether it's just your knees and they're pulsing from sitting, or ankles or back, or whether it's like some other part of you responding to a feeling, an emotion, you can also let the mind reside there. One of the things we do in meditation is we sometimes bring our attention to uncomfortable, we try not to say painful, because that's a very charged word, uncomfortable or very strong sensations that arise due to the position of the body or due to our emotions. And we do not try to get rid of them. We watch them. We really watch them. We just allow them to be there. Like for me, to give you an example, because of everything that is going on, I feel a bit tight in the chest. So I can notice that tension, especially it's on the left side of my chest. And it comes with this feeling, a little bit of nausea. And rather than trying to get away from it, I'm just watching. And as I do, I notice that there's a throbbing in the throat actually, and a quality of heat. And then it's much more than just an unpleasant sensation. It's a whole array of feelings that I can watch with interest. Now, why would I do that? Well, we do that because we start to come into contact honestly with what we feel rather than brushing it under the carpet, which doesn't work over the long term for the body. And because as we pay attention to unpleasant sensations, feelings, the mind actually becomes interested rather than rejecting. And neurologically, that shifts our relationship. And we develop an equanimity to how we feel. And when that happens, actually, the sensation changes because we neurologically process it differently. And it allows for a resolving. Not because we wanted to get away from it, because we truly allowed it present. And sometimes when we do that, it feels too overwhelming in a moment if we're facing something really difficult. And then we tap out and we elongate the exhale, knowing that's enough for today. No more for today. I faced enough of what I could be within my being. I need some space now, and that is honorable. That is not a running away. That's an acknowledgement of what you feel able to do. Okay. So with all those directions and talking, I'm just going to give you 3 more minutes to practice. Watching the breath and noticing any sensations in the body that are quite strong, drawing you to them, and watching their quality, really being interested in them. Okay, everyone. So we're going to end this meditation. Just allow yourself to come out slowly. Sense your breath. And if you want to keep meditating while I take questions, you can. But if not, you can flutter your eyes open when you're ready. And again, for the questions, you can raise your hand using the participant feature at the bottom, which will bring up the column on the right. If you don't know how to do that and you just need to unmute yourself, that's also okay. But by raising the hand, we can do it in a more organized fashion, which is preferable. If there are no comments, okay, Bernie, go ahead. You can unmute yourself.
Okay, thanks. I really found it really helpful, the sipping of the breath. I like that description. It was really, really accessible, I think, for a lot of people, rather than the idea of filling the breath in lungs in stages. But I was wanting to ask you, when we asked us to do this and breathe into the top part of the lungs, it was a really uncomfortable feeling for me, and it sort of brings back sensations of anxiety and things. What's the physiological reason for that? Is it just that there's not enough breath getting into the body?
I can't tell you what the specific physiological reason is. I mean, one thing that is important for all of us to understand is if we've had an experience in the past that has been very charged and uncomfortable, that becomes encoded in the brain. And when we return to it, that has the potential to bring back those feelings, even if there's not a memory. So that is something that may be present for you. But when you breathe into the upper lungs, it does indicate to the brain more need to mobilize. And so if you were already feeling a bit tender, it might have heightened it. I can never tell you exactly why something arose for you, but I can give you hints as to maybes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, anyone else? If not, I will let you go about your day. But don't be embarrassed to share or to ask questions if you want to. That's what I'm here for. Very restorative. Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful. Ah, Schnee. Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Good morning. I was just wondering, with the dirga breath, there are different ways of doing it. You can do it like very staccato, or you could do it like very soft, so it's almost no stop in between, but it's like a very gentle flow. Is there any kind of the way to do it, or is any way good?
I think that it depends on your mood. In this particular instance, though, when I want you to come into contact with the edge of your lungs, really feeling the pulmonary wall clearly, the staccato is probably a little bit more helpful for that. But if you don't want to bring forward more clear sensation, you don't want people to come to that edge, probably something smoother would be better. Yeah. So noticing the subtleties, that's good. Okay.
Thank you.
Tonight. Mary Rose?
Good morning, and thank you. I just had an observation, a aha moment for myself, was it's always letting go, and that seems to be, I've never kind of been able to work that one out.
Mm-hmm.
I let go of something, there's usually claw marks down the side of it, but so I just on that, when we breathe in and we let go all the time, don't we? Because we breathe in and we breathe out. I kind of went, duh. I had one of those duh moments this morning. So thank you.
Yeah, well, that's wonderful. And sometimes I teach that. And sometimes I actually say, the breath shows you that letting go is actually healthier than holding on. Because if you let go for longer, then you inhale, right, in the breath, it's more calming for the heart. So that metaphor is really clear there. Yeah. And thank you. Yeah. Great, Mary Rose. Anyone else want to share? Has any thoughts or feelings around it? Julie, go ahead. Oh, you're on mute, my dear.
Is that better?
Yes, now I can.
Thank you very much, Heather, again. Lovely. Have a good day. I really enjoyed the dirga and the yin afterwards. The meditation is beautiful. Thank you. At the during the practice, I felt I wanted to just stay with the turning point of the breath on the inhale and the exhale, and not move straight into another sip, sip, sip. Is that okay? That you can stay in that space?
Absolutely, you can have the waiting in between the breaths. You know, that's one of the problems with me cueing it, is you can't honor what your breath is calling on, which is why I only do it a few times so that you can move into your natural rhythms. Absolutely.
Yeah, and I really valued that the spaciousness of having, when you said 8 minutes for this, I thought, oh, how lovely. So thank you very much.
Welcome. Yeah.
Have a good day.
Yeah, and it's important to have this time if we also want to experience the real effects of the breath. Yeah. Great. Thanks, Julie. Anyone else? Anne, are you raising your hand? But you can, okay, go ahead, unmute yourself. I can't, yeah, there you go.
I've no questions. I just want to say how much I appreciate you being there for everybody on these Wednesdays and all the time since I discovered your sessions, your free sessions, and just that what a difference it makes. And also I'm really aware of like your journey. It just doesn't come like that. You've kind of shared your journey of learning and teaching and giving, and I just want to let you know sorry how important that is. I'm sorry. I mean, I've no questions because I'm just following and making notes and trying to remember. But you know, we kind of remember even when you're gone, and it's kind of a constant. And even when things get difficult, you kind of know that you're there. And thank you.
Oh, thank you. That means so much to me. And you're right. This is not like some fast learned truth. This has come from first years and years of pain, and then really
I remember.
Yeah. So I so appreciate that acknowledgement. And it imbues all of those years with meaning when I can share with all of you and help you in your journeys, although I'm certain that you all have skills that would be relevant for helping me also in mine. Thank you so much.
It's just so generous of you, and thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's lovely. Thank you all for being here with me. It really feels an honor. You know, it feels like a dual giving, just to be clear. It's highly meaningful for me, and I've said that many times. Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? If not, you know I always walk Minnie right after. Oh, Helen, do you want to, I see you coming to the screen. Do you want to ask? No, you don't. Okay. So I'll walk little Minnie, and I'll see you again next week. And I wish you all well. By the way, tomorrow is chronic pain, not with me, but with Raquel Chintetra. I'm not teaching again till next week anything because I have a module for my 2-year course this weekend. Much love and namaste. Take good care.